Hello guys and welcome to my second vlog, Skills and Capacities in Speed and Agility for SAC 7008. In this video we're going to analyze a drill of maximum speed and a drill of a 180 ground-based turn, go through a video analysis and evaluation of the two athletes performing the two drills, examples of corrective exercises depending on skill and capacity, issue that we found, and some final thoughts. Athlete number one is a strength conditioning coach, an ex-rugby player with a history of the right ankle issues, and at the time of filming he had a minor low back injury as well. Athlete number two is a physiotherapist, an ex-football player with no history of injuries. The majority of the athletes have a great potential for improving speed, and even though there are genetic limits to that speed performance, such as the athlete's body type and structure, or even the type of muscle fiber, speed development programs are fundamental to any total performance enhancement program. Two factors that determine running speed are stride cadence and stride length. Cadence refers to the number of strides taken per second, and stride length refers to the distance traveled by each stride. The product of these two factors gives an accurate description of running speed. So, speed training can be improved by improving stride cadence, improving stride length, or improving both. This is the first example that we have, the athlete 1 performing a maximum speed drill. And here we have athlete number 2 performing the same drill at normal speed. When we slow down both videos, we can see clearly a difference in technique between the two athletes. Clearly, athlete 2 presents a forward lean trunk and looking down while doing it, an inability to reach the parallel thigh on the swing leg, keeping it down with excessive trunk and arm rotation. And clearly also the swing leg foot travels forward far away from the glutes. Au contraire, the athlete number 1 performs that in a particular good way. And even though he presents an excessive arm swing, it does feel like he's propelling himself forward way better than the athlete number 2. When we break down the movement from athlete number 1, we can see his thigh almost at 90 degrees and the excessive arm swing that we denoted in the slowdown video. He's able to keep a good position of both of his thighs in relation to the ground and to the trunk, that he prepares a strike with his foot almost underneath him, and that at recovery leg presents his foot really close to the glutes, achieving full support right underneath the body, preparing for the application of maximum force to the ground vertically. Athlete number 2 presents a really excessive forward lean trunk, looking down during the movement, and his thigh clearly can reach 90 degrees. The forward lean trunk is clear in all the phases of this sprint. The recovery leg clearly is really far from the glutes, and the strike or the touchdown will happen in front of the center of mass, creating some horizontal force that will reduce the vertical force applied for the continuation of the maximum speed. As we saw, there's a big difference between the technique presented by athlete number 1 and athlete number 2. Especially athlete number 2 presents a really excessive forward lean trunk, and the touchdown movement is clearly in front of the center of mass, creating a horizontal force unnecessary for maximum speed, especially because it increases the contact time and thereby reducing the speed. On the other hand, agility has been identified as a rapid movement involving the whole body in which change of direction and/or velocity occurs in response to a stimulus. Obviously, change of direction ability relies directly on the technical and physical components. Here we have athlete number 1 performing the drill and athlete number 2 performing the exact same drill. In slow motion, we can see that both athletes start by stepping back before initiating the rotation, which could be a way of using the stretch shortening cycle to increase the velocity. Even though they do that, the first athlete is able to position his first foot parallel to the new direction, increasing his acceleration, while the second athlete is not capable of achieving the same direction in his first foot. Also presents a small takeoff distance, which reduces his velocity. When we look at the pictures, we can clearly see that small takeoff distance for athlete number 2 and the first foot positioning for athlete number 1. Here, what it seems to be a loss of balance by athlete number 2 while going sideways. Also, both rotate the trunk before rotating the head, which can be assumed as a mistake because they lose the visual scanning possible by their eyes before initiating the movement. Center of mass should move in the intent sprint direction, so that takeoff or a minor step back before initiating rotation can also decrease this change of direction speed. A battery of tests was performed to understand in which way the capacities were affecting the movements. The results shown in this table, we can clearly see that athlete number 2 has mobility issues and power development issues or explosiveness, while athlete number 1 major lacks lower body strength. As to know what to do with both athletes, this table shows that athlete number 1 needs to focus on developing lower body max strength and ankle mobility. And athlete number 2, even though he also lacks some capacities like explosiveness or mobility, should also optimize sprinting mechanics. Mobility drills such as ankle, thoracic, or shoulder can be performed as part of the warm-up for both of the athletes. For improving max strength on his lower body, athlete number 1 could perform bodyweight squats or heavy squats and hip thrust to develop that vertical force. Power rate of force development that we saw on the count movement jump performed by the athlete number 2, Olympic weightlifting and med ball throws could be used. And as a skill sprint exercises, and these are examples, athlete number 2 could perform a dowel high knee stick in order to maintain the trunk position while bringing his knees up during the maximal speed drill. Also, the recovery leg could be worked with the butt kicks. The pogo jumps could be used to increase that vertical force and the eccentric capacity of the lower limbs, and then join everything together in exercises such as the A walks or the A skips before starting again, going into a maximum sprint. The final thoughts are very similar to the first vlog. Most importantly, a systematic assessment process is vital for establishing whether it's a physical or a technical limitation that we had on the athlete in front of us. But at the same time, it's very important to understand that it's hard to separate a skill and a capacity within the athlete, and both could probably be worked. Thank you for your time.